So hello guys, welcome to the third episode of our podcast. We had a short break for about a week because we had things going on. Matt had to go back to knots and so on. So we're back again, hopefully for good. But yeah, we have a few elements that we've introduced from last episode. So let's start with the music of the week. What's your song of the week, Mohad?
Well, my music of the week has been Pete and Baz Plugged In.
Pete and Baz,
yeah.
Yes.
Like, if you're not familiar with Pete and Baz, they're these two 70-year-old guys who just started doing like drill rapping like a couple years ago, and like they're definitely a comedy act. There
Proper
must
geezers.
be, but they are like good.
Yeah.
So especially when they did Plugged In with Fumes the Engineer, that was it. That was a good one. Yeah, I recommend listening to that because like they're proper, like as you said, proper geezers from like South London.
Yeah.
So
you said they knew the Cray twins or something.
Yeah, I read somewhere apparently they're like knew the Cray twins or like were associated with the Cray twins like back in the 60s or something.
Yeah. So then proper geezers.
Yeah.
Darling, love that kind of thing. Yeah, my song of the week would be Coda the Friend, probably Smile. Very different to Mahad's drill. It's more chill, low-key kind of thing. But yeah, I was talking to you about this. We're planning to do a playlist now instead.
Yeah.
So we'll just put each of the songs every week onto the playlist, and then people can just listen to that, make it a bit more accessible rather than having to search it while we speak and so on. But yeah, that's the songs of the week anyway. But yeah, you went back to Nottingham. How was that? Go on, tell us about that.
It's been good. Just getting back into the rhythm of things. Yeah, like I mean, the weather's nice right now, so it's like going like the view from where my accommodation is the Downs. So just go there, chill out, and like just have a few.
Get some vitamin D.
Get some vitamin kind of D, all that good stuff. So it's been good. Just really waiting on when things open up some more, and then hopefully we're all waiting for June 21st.
June 21st, yeah, the big one for the gang. We've mentioned that before. It's like a little session in Bristol that we're gonna go to. Where is it? It's not Lakota, is it? Is it Lakota?
Well, it's run by Lakota, but they're going to be doing it at some random field somewhere. Because they've basically turned it into a day festival.
Yeah, so it should be good, I think. But yeah, that's the Downs is also the one I'm next to as well.
But you're Bristol Downs.
Yeah, same thing. It's like a bunch of people trying to get there. Basically, it's just so they can come out and drink with mates, isn't it? Because the 6 people rule. Pretty much. But on that note, things being open. Gym. It's been about a week and a half since it's been open. How are you finding it?
Oh, good. Like I love getting back into the rhythm of that. Like when, like after the first few sessions, like when you get like severe DOMs and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like I miss that feeling, even though it's not a pleasant feeling. I missed it because it was like, okay, I'm actually getting back into it.
It's like a both a pleasant feeling and not pleasant because you're working yourself again, right? But the recovery is just awful.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to just
Exactly.
Yeah, you were saying?
Getting back into the rhythm of it, and it's just something we all miss. Like obviously, it plays a lot with like your mental health and everything. So, really good for that. How about you? How have you found it for the last week and a bit?
We were talking about this. You did the same thing. So I went in heavy. Like I just went in ridiculous. So on the first day, the 12th, I went and did the big lifts. And I did deadlift, squat, bench, and then I went back to deadlift as well.
And that was on the same day?
Yeah, on the same day. And yeah, that was a risky move by me.
Yeah.
I did it all and I was like, the deadlift's free, let me pump out another set quickly. And that last set of 100 fucked my back. I got to like my knee, so I pulled the bar up to my knee and then I just felt my back like go. And then for the next day, I had like fucking nerve pain. It's gone now, thank God. But yeah, that's what I did. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, man. I did legs yesterday. I saw God a few times.
Nice. How?
If you're a gym person, you'll get that reference when everything goes blurry. But yeah, it was good, man. I'm enjoying it.
That's good.
How you're recovering to your PBs and stuff?
Well, I haven't done any singles for bench,
Yeah.
but
But you managed to get
like 100 for 8 is like, yeah, that's fine for
Jesus
bench.
Christ.
But
it's fine. I don't think I've ever hit 100 on bench ever.
you'll get to that point. I mean, I am heavy. I'm about 86 kilos, so I am heavier than you. But that was fine. So what my deadlift was 220 was my best, but
220.
I've only recently I've only done like 200, so I've lost 20 kilos on that because that 200 did feel like 220. And then my squat, let's say I do about 170 for 4. I did 140 for 5, but I think I could maybe push out a 150 for 4, so I've lost about 20-30 kilos on my squat. Bench is probably the only thing that's sort of maintained, but that's because I've had heavy dumbbells at home.
Been doing it at home.
Yeah, and then I've always had problems like my front delt, partially because of rugby as well. So, but the dumbbells seem to have done a lot of work with that, so that's good. What about you?
In terms of deadlift, my PB was like 140, I think. I did 100 on the 12th, so not too bad. Squatting, I'm basically the same, so my best score was 80. And I did 60, 70 yesterday. Bench, I've always had a problem with. So bench, I'm pretty much starting from the beginning. So like 50, 60. But generally, my strength, I was surprised how good it was compared to before, because we've had 5-6 months on and off, kind of.
Yeah.
So it's quite good for me, I think, to be able to get back to those PBs. But yeah, another thing I was planning to do, we planned to do, was do like a semi Q&A, and like a sort of, if we've got enough fans, we'll find out. They write in and tell us either problems or something they want to talk about, and then we discuss what we would do or how we would approach it. Just a little, so it's a bit more interactive, I guess, in that way. So, like we said, feel free to message me or Mahad or on the Instagram page. We'll keep it anonymous and everything if you want to, and we'll see what we think about these problems or questions you have.
Yeah.
On that, sorry, go on.
No, that's it. I was just saying, yeah.
We're up on the YouTube as well.
Yeah, we are.
We finally got that up and running. Please give us a subscribe, comment, and if you can, probably listen to it on that rather than Spotify, because Spotify just like fuck anybody who's on there, because you get like no kind of popularity as such. But yeah, we got that running, so yeah, give it a subscribe. Mahad's trying to sort out the Apple podcast.
Apple Podcast has really been fucking everything up, so we'll eventually be on it. However, for now, no, because Apple IDs are just, it's getting a bit annoying with the verifications and everything, and it takes me back to the beginning. I'm like, well, what the hell's going on here? It's been like way too long doing it. So eventually we'll be on Apple Podcasts, but for now, YouTube and Spotify is our outlet.
Yeah, it's basically the whole problem was we're trying to. So I tried it as well. We tried to log in and then connect the feed, which is how this podcast thing works, and it was just there's no option for it. So I think we've decided the best bet is either to wait or just make an entire new account and go from there. But yeah, hopefully within a few episodes we'll be up and running, and maybe in 1 or 2 episodes time we'll start getting some guests on as well. Yeah, and have a chat with them.
Exactly.
But yeah, should we move on to current events and things that have been happening for the last 2 weeks?
Right.
We missed last week.
So
start off the big one for us,
F1. Yeah, so obviously we're big F1 fans. So the last race was the last weekend, which was Imola. So the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix in Italy, and that was a really interesting Grand Prix. First off, the conditions were pretty bad. Like, it was a lot of rain.
On and off, kind of.
Yeah, and obviously Verstappen just shot off out of nowhere.
Verstappen, he was nuts. Yeah, just a disclaimer, we're going to do a quick 5 minutes because we love F1. But yeah, Verstappen was miles ahead of everyone. Like, there was no way you could catch him towards the end of the race. And then there was a how many crashes were there? 2? 1? One big crash.
One big one between Bottas and Russell.
And quite a few spin outs and off the...
Yeah, because obviously the conditions. We both felt bad for Perez. Because Perez qualified really well the day before, and then...
what was his... Was he second?
Second, he came second. Yeah, he qualified in front of Verstappen. Yeah,
and everyone's been like, shit, some competition. But he got a 10-second penalty for... What was it for? I missed the start.
I don't remember what it was for, but obviously that had an effect. And then also he was just having a bad day. Like the car spun. But the thing is, he knew where he went wrong. But regardless of how badly he did perform in the last race, his qualifying showed that he has very good pace.
Yeah, and
so
he was like fourth for quite a while, wasn't he? Fourth or fifth. And he spun out, and that was just basically he can't catch up now.
Exactly.
That being said, fucking Hamilton managed to do it. The nutter.
Yeah, it's just what he does, really.
Yeah, he's just a top tier driver. He was lucky though, because he got the red flag because of Russell and Bottas' crash, which was another funny thing. Go on, tell us about that.
Well, the Russell Bottas crash was so it was along one of the straights, and the straight has a slight kink to it. And Russell was trying to go for an overtake on Bottas, which is strange to hear because Russell drives a Williams, Bottas drives a Mercedes. The Mercedes is far ahead of the Williams.
Yeah.
And Russell tried to overtake. Bottas went to the right, maybe by about an inch or two. That spooked Russell. Russell ended up going onto the grass, obviously wet grass, caused him to spin, crash into Bottas, and they both just flew into the wall. And then
both cars.
Yeah, and red flag as well. And they were both fine, but what was controversial after was Russell's reaction to everything. So he thought it was all of Bottas's fault. And obviously Bottas was like, well, no, it's Russell's fault. So Russell got out of the car, went to Bottas. People thought he went to check over if he was okay, but the first thing Russell actually said to Bottas was, are you trying to kill us? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Bottas apparently didn't hear him, but flipped a bird at him.
That was funny,
and then Russell smacked him on the helmet, and then
with his glove.
Yeah.
Would you say? Yeah.
So
and Russell is Mercedes' backup driver as well.
Yeah, he's pretty much next in line for the next seat for whoever's going to be dropped at Mercedes or isn't going to come back to Mercedes in the next seasons ahead. So, and he's also managed by Toto Wolff, the team principal of Mercedes-AMG Petronas. So
it's all a bit controversial, wasn't it?
Exactly. So that was one controversy from there. And moving on from, I guess, around there though, Lando Norris did really well.
Sick.
Showed really good pace in that McLaren. First off, it was deep for him with qualifying, where he was near. Well, he would have got either P2 or P3. He would have been top 3 qualifier.
He went off though.
But he went off by maybe about a couple inches. Because of track limits, his time got cancelled, so that was peak on him. But he drove that car back in the race from 7th to 3rd, so he did a great job.
But Hamilton was lucky with the crash because he managed to unlap himself as well.
Yeah.
And then typical Hamilton style, he went from 7th or 8th?
Went from 9th, I believe.
Oh, 9th, shit, even worse, to 2nd in that race. So it was well played by him. And then you got Nikita Mazepin.
Oh, he spun 650 times in the last 2 races.
Cash is king, that's the phrase, isn't it?
Yeah. Did you hear about so there's a rumour going round I saw on Twitter, Haas might actually Gene Haas might actually pull out of Formula 1, and Mazepin's dad might buy so
oh fuck's sake. I like Haas, man, up until Nikita fucking started racing with them.
It's obviously the thing is with Haas, it's peak for them because Haas in NASCAR, very successful team. Stewart Haas Racing, very successful team in NASCAR. in F1, not so much. 2018 was their best season. They came fourth, I think, in the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah. I think Haas and Williams are just not doing too well. You can definitely tell the difference between like the amount of funding each of them get.
Yeah.
So you compare that to, like Mercedes' funding, it's like they can't compete.
But it's now capped, so they're all pretty much. But it's going to be seen more from next year though, when more regulations kick in. The only thing is like with Williams, it is like we're hoping to see Williams to be back at the top, because like Williams, they used to be.
They used to be a top tier team, and now they're kind of just struggling, aren't they? But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, that's the F1 segment done. The Super League. Me and Matt aren't football fans.
Not massively, no. I'm aware. I watch now and again, but not much at all, really.
I only really watch the World Cup whenever it happens. But let's have a quick chat about that for any football listeners out here. So, do you know what it is?
Well, yeah. Well, the Super League was a proposed league of basically the richest clubs, segregating themselves from poorer clubs and making their own league and only playing between each other. And it pretty much is. And the problem with that is it was basically going to be creating a divide between the poorer clubs with less money and the richest clubs with the wealthiest owners. And obviously that went tits up.
It was the top 20 teams in Europe, so I'm just looking up now, and I think 12 of the old teams, so like Chelsea, etc.
6 of the Premiership teams in the UK, but they all pulled out.
Yeah, it lasted 48 hours, and then they're like, this is a
pretty much. And so it was a Real Madrid boss, and I think the Juventus boss. They pretty much were like, this is a failure.
It's a bad idea. Yeah.
So the good thing is the fans basically fought back.
It's one of the few instances where the fans actually managed to stop this greed from football teams, or any teams really. But it lasted 48 hours. The whole premise, like you said, was the fact that the top teams can never be, obviously I'm not a football fan, but demoted, right? And then get replaced. That was the thing. But luckily they managed to get rid of that within 48 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So at least that idea is hopefully. I mean, there are still protests. I think there's a protest right now. It's against Arsenal's boss.
Has he not pulled out yet, or?
I'm not sure. I just read a headline about that, so I think it might be. I don't know if it's whether about pulling out, or maybe I think it's just backlash, because I think they're just saying, there's just so much greed going on and all that stuff. So
football's such a wealthy sport anyway. It's a bit like a slap in the face of fans, isn't it? The whole thing.
Exactly. So it's just like you said. It's a slap on the face. It's because the thing is, obviously, especially here, like the football culture is so big, it's so prominent. Yeah, it's everywhere. So
such a big British culture is pretty much football and stuff, isn't it? It's quite a big thing. But yeah, sorry, you were saying?
It's like I mean, like when it comes to culture, it's like watching the World Cup, for example. Like whenever like someone scores a goal, like in the World Cup, it's especially like even if you're not a football fan, everyone watches the World Cup because it's the World Cup. It
just brings the whole country together, doesn't it? When everyone's like, "Oh shit, what year was that?" We
2018,
went to watch it.
2018.
Yeah, that was a good little. Where did we go? Antelope. Went to Antelope.
I wasn't there that day. I was at home watching it. But I didn't come that day. No, but but I was at Wireless for one of the matches, in 2018, and they showed it on the big screen. And then Post Malone performed around or just after, and he was wearing like England flags on like his knees and everything. Shit. And that was a good vibe though. That was
a good vibe. That was the last good year, I think. It comes close to 2016 summer. The whole thing.
That was like when like A levels and everything were done, and like we could just like chill. Just everything like just no worries then. But like
I reckon this year is going to be that though. This summer is going to be like a big blowout for everyone.
I hope so. I mean, we've been deprived of one, haven't we, for the last year, give or take.
It just feels so weird. We missed out entire of last summer, pretty much, right? So weird. On that note, have you heard about the COVID corruption scandal?
Very briefly, but could you catch us up on that?
Yeah, essentially, we all know how the fucking Tory government have been mugging everyone off during the corona. So, like, Hancock gave contracts to a company which his sister owned or had links with. Again, typical kind of style. But apparently 1 in 5 contracts they gave out during this period was possible corruption, which is apparently £3.7 billion worth of corruption in contracts given to either family members of the government or friends, essentially, which is crazy, man. £3.7 billion in corruption. Yeah, typical, isn't it? Go on.
Yeah, I mean, like, there was this scandal with, like, the COVID corruption. There was another one, something involving David Cameron lobbying because of, like, something about assistant firms. And yeah, it's just, I mean, obviously there's a load of shit going on with, like, uncertainties of, like, will another lockdown happen? Will the roadmap have to be extended, or will it have to be changed and altered because the incompetence of everything being run and everything, exactly. So I mean, we are living in unprecedented times and things are shit. I just hope things just open up, if I'm being honest. That's like,
yeah, it's just they can't afford to have another lockdown, man, because they were lucky that the British people listened this time round, to be honest. But if they were to propose, what, this is the 4th lockdown, including, like, the mini lockdowns they had everywhere, it's just not going to end well, is it, really?
No.
So, but yeah, it's just a typical scandal. We had the food scandal, was it last summer? I can't remember, where they were giving, like, a shit ton of money to these food companies to give it to children who needed it, and it turned out they were giving, like, fucking half apples and shit.
Yeah, like, barely any food, pretty much.
Yeah,
like, food. It was like food for, like, food to give to kids, but I think it was like the amount to give to like a toddler, something like that.
And it was like each thing was apparently, don't quote me, but I think it was they said it was between 30 and something pounds. That's how much they assigned the value to this food, and there's a massive uproar about that. And I think, again, typical thing is that I think they had links with this company, so they gave them money to try and probably just save the wealth, I guess, and keep it between them. On the note of coronavirus, though, you hear about the Indian? They're having a mare of a time over there.
I mean, yeah, they are absolutely they're fucked. So much shit going on there. Like, they got that double mutant variant that's double like roaming there. But the problem with that, right, that people are dropping dead pretty much there, left, right, and centre. I think some, like, Indian composer just died, actually, like some quite big Indian composer. And I think, and linking it back, like, so when the government gave red lists to countries, obviously, to ban travelling, so that there aren't any, like, potential variants entering and, like, obviously spiking up cases. Now, they should have done India a while ago, but they only did it a couple of days ago. And pretty much the reason is because the government wants to do a trade deal with India, and they don't. And Boris was meant to go on a trip to meet Prime Minister Modi, I guess, in about discussion about trade talks. However, Boris has had to cancel that because India's COVID cases are skyrocketing. So,
just a figure for you guys: the new cases, 346,000, which is up about 300,000 from that's a 7-day average. So, and they're calling it a corona fucking hell, dying on roads, and apparently Tokyo is going into a state of emergency as well.
Tokyo?
Yeah, apparently. But yeah, it's just like typical, isn't it? Yeah, basically India's like the massive hub now for cases, pretty much.
I mean, I guess maybe it isn't so much of a surprise with the population density there, and the population there, and also the infrastructure, because of the divide of wealth. For example, there's a huge amount of poverty, and a lot of obviously the infrastructure is not good at all there. So for the most part,
there's probably loads of cases which aren't even documented as well.
Exactly. Like, people thinking they're like, oh, I've just got like a flu or something, I've got like a cold or like my body's been a bit weird, but they actually have COVID and then die a few days later or something. Like,
yeah, it's awful, man. I think they were pleading for people to give them vaccines and things and help because they're really struggling out there at the moment. Double variants, and obviously since there's such a large population of people, there's more risk of like even more mutations and so on. So it's going to be bad for them, I think. They've got they've got 3 vaccines, so Oxford, the Sputnik, and the Covaxin, which I'm not sure is where from. I think that's an Indian one anyway. But yeah, they're struggling, man. They really are.
Yeah, just a load of shit going on there.
But yeah, like you said, typical of the UK. They basically kept this open, and I think there was a few recorded cases of this double mutation in the UK. But yeah, typical style. They kept it open, and then so they could get a trade deal. Now they've closed it because people have realised, what are you doing? This should have been done ages ago. But yeah, typical kind of government with their laziness, shall we say?
Yeah,
and selfishness with the pandemic, which they've done plenty of times already. But I hope all these things get held accountable for it later on, because I think we mentioned in the last episode is there's these things that have happened, right, and we've just like brushed it off because of the pandemic, or they've not been held accountable. So hopefully it comes back and they get fucked for it, but we'll see. Let's move on to something a bit lighter before we get into something a bit more deep. Dogecoin. Yeah, about Dogecoin.
Well, how much has it gone up? Were you saying something about 400% recently? Or?
I quickly checked, but yeah, it was 400% since last week, I think. Let me check the actual values. But yeah, do you want to fill us in while I look quickly?
Well, Dogecoin. I mean, the rage behind Dogecoin started around the GameStop era, didn't it? So
yeah, pretty much like a second kind of meme.
Wall Street Bets, the Reddit page, who pretty much were like, get Dogecoin and obviously drive up the price. And then Elon Musk, big memer.
That guy, he has so much influence over the stock market. He says one thing and bam, it just fucking goes up.
So he'll say like Dogecoin to the moon and all that stuff, and then it'll just shoot up in value, and then it'll back down as well. But yeah, it's crazy. How it started off as a meme, and then people are buying it for actual investment for money and things. So
yeah, it's just some figures for you guys. It's gone up 12.8% since Wednesday, and it's up 6,500% since the start of the year. And it's basically a meme, and people are like, oh shit. It's like the typical kind of GameStop vibes where people are like, oh no, memeing actually works sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny how Elon Musk basically said pretty much a couple of things about it, and then it just shoots up in price.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He has that effect. What was it when he was smoking weed on
Joe Rogan's podcast, and then
his
Tesla's stock dropped? Yeah, I think it was also, but that was I think partially to do with I think at Tesla they do drug testing.
Yeah.
And some people were saying...
it's a bit ironic, isn't it?
Ironic. They were saying it's a bit hypocritical because why does the CEO get to smoke, but then if the workers... Yeah, so I guess maybe it was just that as well, which is why I think he did 2 more appearances. He pretty much like, I don't want to do it again. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, so, it is. And then his Cybertruck scandal, when he was like, we can't break the glass. And then the guy throws a rock at it, just like breaks.
And then wasn't there a recent one where like 2 men died or something because they weren't driving the car, and then
I heard about that, but rest in peace those guys. But apparently
they were being idiots. There was no one in the driver's seat.
Yeah, they will just let it drive.
So they're pretty much, I guess I think the issue with that is obviously they put it on themselves. However, I think the idea of the car having, I guess maybe there was a problem with the autopilot system.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure in the manual, whatever, they would have said you can put autopilot on if you're still awake in the driver's seat.
Yeah, the car
capable to stop it.
It tells you. It can sense whether if you're nodding off, then it'll make sure you have your hands on the wheel. or to make sure that your hands are in range of the wheel, so that if anything does happen, that you can stop the car.
Yeah, it's probably do like the weight on the seat as well. If it detects weight on the seat, I think that even obviously it's horrendous, right? But I think even with those two cases, the actual statistics are ridiculously low. In terms of how many people have actually crashed in a fatal crash whilst driving a Tesla.
They're very safe cars. They're I think they're 5-star Euro rated in their safety. And also it's just because of a lot of the time is the technology. The technology actually has saved Tesla owners a fair few times.
Yeah.
So
I think it was clearly a massive mistake on the driver's parts, right? But Tesla have been known to do a lot of testing into crashing and stuff, so that hopefully they fix whatever problem made it. Essentially, it just set on fire instantly, right? That was the issue. But
that's the problem with I guess the pressure you put on lithium-ion batteries. It's like when Richard Hammond crashed the Rimac in the Grand Tour I think it was in Austria or in Switzerland. And that car went into flames because of the impact with the lithium-ion batteries in the car. So I guess, but generally speaking, like those cars are safe. Those are just certain instances they've had those cases.
Yeah, hopefully they sort of fix either their detection on the AI for driving, or they sort out their batteries to make it less volatile, I guess, in crashes. But yeah, that was I think that was in 2019 that crash happened, and only now they've released the figures and stuff in general with crashes and so on. But yeah, that is. What was the next thing we're going to talk about?
It was the Marks and Spencer, was it? I think you know a bit more about this than I do.
Yeah,
Caterpillar cake stuff.
It's just I don't really care for it, but I think a lot of British people care about the Caterpillar cake. It's such an iconic thing, right? The main issue was M&S's Caterpillar cake, called Colin, has pretty much a typical Audi style replica called Cuthbert, and they were suing them over basically taking their product and copying it and so on. But yeah, like you've said before, it's just Audi style, isn't it? They just take something and basically copy the name, change it slightly. Like Kit Kat, I think, is called like Take a Break or something in Audi. But yeah, it's typical style. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, Audi are pretty much memeing about it, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they're like, just making fun about the whole situation because M&S are suing them.
Yep.
Over the rights of it, and didn't you? Because I remember you were going on about this. That Audi responded saying, instead of using the money to pay lawyers about this, why don't we give the money to charity?
That was such a sick move by Audi, I think, by doing that, because essentially, if Marks Spencer's continued to sue them, they look like the bad guy. So yeah, fucking Audi were on it with that comment. And I think since M&S have come out and said, yeah, we're happy to do a fundraising if you change your cake to something that is your own product, like Keith, I think, was the Christmas one. But yeah, that was a bit of a scandal. But the biggest thing was the fact that Audi's cake looks identical to M&S's. So obviously, pretty much all supermarkets have their equivalent Caterpillar cake. Yeah.
But it's like the design of the Audi and the Marks and Spencer one, which is practically the same.
Yeah, it's like the face of the Caterpillar is identical. Whereas I think Tesco is like orange with it's like a sticker kind of rather than chocolate. And but yeah, that was quite funny. That was a little detour about M&S. I don't know if there's any updates since, if they've decided to change it yet. Knowing Audi, probably not for now. Anyway, I'll do a quick check if you want to fill in the space.
Yeah, I mean, well, M&S have been losing. They've practically been losing money, haven't they? Because Audi have been catering for markets across the board because obviously they're so cheap and accessible. Whereas M&S, I guess, is more catered to more niche demographic. Generally an older demographic in M&S, particularly with their clothing, with food as well. With Audi, you'll find it's a mixture of most like class orientated people going there, whereas with M&S it's a lot more middle class. So because obviously of its higher prices, so
you're talking about that. You're talking about the price structure and how they're like long term and stuff.
Yeah, so Audi pretty much, I think they're still in a loss, but their cost structure is long term, so that they can make a profit in the long term.
Yeah.
So that's why they're investing a lot of branches around the world. In the US, obviously they're German, so started in Germany, in the UK, and all over Europe and everything. So with that cost structure as well, and then obviously they have a lot of customers, so they're just pretty much reinvesting into themselves so that they get the future benefits.
You were talking a bit about how much they get paid, and I was so surprised.
Their
benefits and stuff is like ridiculous for somewhere like Audi.
Yeah, so really good salaries for area managers. I think they're around 77,000, and they get a company car and
77,000.
And they get what else do they get? Well, obviously other like benefits that will come with the job anyway, and also like healthcare benefits and things like that. But obviously, so obviously that is I guess for anyone who wants to go into that field of I think you do need a degree for it though. So but regardless,
77,000 is nuts.
It's a good salary. It's a good salary,
and a company car as well. Fuck yeah.
So yeah, in that regard, what's good is that obviously like trying to create an incentive for people to work for them, which I guess is part of their long-term structural cost analysis, pretty much.
Yeah, I think there's a typical Audi memes, right, where it's like, if you gave the vaccine to Audi workers, they would vaccinate the country in like a day.
Yeah.
Because of how rapid and like thingy they are. But yeah, I think Audi is definitely catering for the younger to mid age because it's so cheap, right?
Especially students. For us students, Audi's perfect.
Yeah, Audi's the go-to, I think, for food and stuff. If you want to do a big shop, Audi's probably your best bet. Because things like Sainsbury's and so on, it gets very expensive when you buy a week's worth of food. But yeah, hopefully we can find out a bit more about that. I think currently, I think the last thing that happened, like I said, was Marks and Spencer agreed to this whole charity idea instead. But yeah, they just want their own character for Audi to use rather than their Colin, which was Keith probably would be their bet. But we'll see, I guess, with that. We'll keep you updated because I imagine a few people love the whole scandal with these cakes and things. But yeah. Do you want to talk about the next segment a bit deeper? Do you want to introduce it?
Well, I guess, okay, so obviously...
disclaimer.
Trigger warning, discussion about racism. Obviously the George Floyd trial has been concluded now. So Derek Chauvin, I think that's how his name is pronounced, has been convicted of murder, finally. For pretty much pure, like, clear-cut evidence.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous that it took this long to prove this guy murdered someone.
Yeah.
When there's literal video footage and witnesses and so on. Sorry, you were saying?
So, yeah, exactly. So, with that in mind, obviously, like, it was a good day, I guess, in terms of justice. However... there are problems with the system, so it's an accountability that was made, but it's not complete justice for the system. It's justice for Floyd, but not justice for the system.
I think it's probably the first kind of big sort of acknowledgement of Black Lives Matter and so on in recent times. Quote me if I'm wrong, please. But yeah, he got charged for 2nd-degree unintentional murder, 3rd-degree murder, 2nd-degree manslaughter, But yeah, it's just I think the first kind of it's a year later as well. Sorry, I'm just checking when it was, May 25th. It's the first kind of justice in such where we're finally seeing some sort of movement towards realizing that yes, black people are being massively racially targeted and by the police and so on. But within that, I think before the verdict was even said, there was another girl who was shot. I think her surname was Bryant, Micaiah Bryant. I think was and she was 15 or 16.
16.
Yeah, and she got shot
4 times.
Something to do. Yeah, and
there was a domestic dispute at the house. What had happened was apparently there was a domestic dispute at the house. Apparently about how messy it was, and it just escalated, and it got to the point where police. And then what was the girl's name again? Sorry,
Micaiah.
So she called the police.
Yeah.
They came, and apparently she had a knife in her hand. And apparently she's been really aggressive to the police.
Right.
And I think I think I read somewhere like she pushed one of them. Whatever happened, like things obviously escalated, and then one of the officers shot her 4 times. And then obviously like that's created an outcry because obviously one thing, she's 16 years old, and then another one is there's obviously a discussion about was it necessary for him to shoot her 4 times and even use a gun in the first place?
In the chest, right?
And there was a discussion of would it just been a way better of using a taser because it wouldn't have been as lethal at all.
Yeah,
so
it's just typical, isn't it? It's like they've managed to apprehend school shooters and things without killing him, but they can't apprehend a 15-year-old woman with a knife, and I don't know how many officers on the case. Like you said, a fucking taser would have done the job. Rest in peace, man. But yeah, it's awful. The other one was sorry, I forgot his name. The one who was driving and he got pulled over to do with like an air freshener or something, and the police officer shot him with a gun instead of a taser. Yeah. Let me just find the name. Sorry.
Was it the 20-year-old?
Yeah, it was 20-year-old shot. Sorry, guys.
And then again, the police officer said, "Oh, I couldn't find my taser."
Dante Wright. Sorry, that's his name.
Yeah. Or was it the police officer said he couldn't find his taser? But then, like, there were police officers around the world who literally were like, "That's practically a lie. There's a huge difference between what's in your hand between a taser and an actual pistol."
Yeah, it just brings up a whole lot of problems, right? It's like, why is your gun and taser so close to each other that you can get mixed up, right? First of all, with someone who's had training and using a gun and taser, surely there should be an obvious difference, for example, colour on the actual taser for you to realise that this is a taser or a gun. And it's just like, why would you shoot someone who's not posing you any harm anyway? Because you're just sat in his car, I'm pretty sure, and they refused to cooperate, and then they shot him. But yeah, it's just like awful, isn't it? It's just like things where it's obvious, right? This is something to do with racism here, because there's instances where, it was within I just found a map. It was within 1 kilometre of the trial taking place as well, where he died. But yeah, how can you apprehend a school shooter with like a fully automatic gun?
Yeah.
But you can't apprehend a 15-year-old with a knife and a 20-year-old who doesn't have anything on him anyway.
No.
But yeah, it's not good, man. Not good.
Yeah, exactly.
But this, hopefully, well, we hope that's all we can do and protest. But hopefully, this Derek case is one step
in the right direction to changing the system for justice for all, instead of just accountability.
Yeah, because I can't believe it took this long for them to prove that he was guilty when there's
video evidence,
witnesses. And I think a lot of the paramedics on case said the reason he died was because of this and so on, not because of the supposed drugs in the system, which is what some people said.
And practically those who did say that, they were just racist and they have racist intentions. Simple as that.
It's clear. and then we were talking about the veteran, the one who got like pepper sprayed because he wasn't.
And even though he's still in the U.S. Army.
Yeah.
And I think it's Lieutenant Gutierrez. I think that was his name.
Yeah. I'll check it quickly.
And so he half Latino, half black. And pulled over. He was complying completely. Obviously, he's not technically an officer of the law in that sense, with the army, officer of the government, not even law, government. Practically represents the government in foreign affairs. And what happened? He complied. Just asked him simply.
Oh shit! Sorry, just to cut in. His name actually Nazario.
Okay.
Gutierrez was one of the police officers who.
Right. Gutierrez was the guy that pepper sprayed him.
I think so. It was Joe.
Okay, fuck Gutierrez, and then it's Nazario. Yeah, Lieutenant Nazario.
It's Nazario.
Nazario.
Sorry,
right.
you were saying.
Okay. And obviously he complied. He pretty much was like, what's the reason for pulling me over? Which is a reasonable thing to say when you get pulled over if you're confused. And all of a sudden they're aggressive on him, saying he's resisting arrest and all this bullshit. But I think he's been dismissed. But then Nazario's suing Virginia Police Department.
Yeah.
Basically saying that they're incompetent fucks.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just it's clearly a massive power thing, right? They have these guns and these pepper sprays. Like, we can use them.
Yeah.
But now, thank God, we have footage and stuff that we can see. Because rewind like 10, 20 years, this probably happened all the time, but there was no actual evidence except the person who has been clearly abused and the police officers who would obviously just back themselves.
Yeah.
But it's things like that. It's typical. There's a lot of things happening like that at the moment. And hopefully this case is helping to realise the actual issues. But apparently not, because like I said, these two people have been killed since, probably many more that we don't know about.
Yeah.
While this case was going on. But yeah, man, rest in peace and support the movement, obviously. Or you're pretty much racist. That's the conclusion here.
What, with Black Lives Matter?
Of course, yeah.
I think that's controversial in itself, though. I think the issue is I think the problem with certain movements, right?
Yeah.
Is the intentions are there. The start off is that it's when certain members of the group divert and turn it into their own thing rather than for the agenda of the movement itself.
Yeah.
So,
but it's like happened with the riots in Bristol. You have these people breaking shit when that's not actually the reason for it. But the movement itself is obviously the right thing to do, follow it and so on. And within reason, don't vandalise shit. But again, I'm not the person to tell you what to do. Neither of us are, but yeah, that's a breakdown of Black Lives Matter and case at the moment that we are aware of. There's probably loads more. And please let us know if we either said something wrong or you think it's incorrect, and we'll endeavour to apologise and so on. But yeah, moving on into the next segment, which is a little bit controversial too.
Controversial, and again, trigger warning, this may have discussions of things about paedophilia and sexual assault. So, first off, shall we start off with EDP?
EDP is EDP's the funnier one because of the shit he said. Yeah. But essentially, he got caught in a pedo trap. If you want to tell us more about it, in my head.
Well, yeah, EDP 445. He was this internet memer that pretty much everyone loved because he was just notorious for like being just funny guy, shit. Like Philly Eagles fan. Like he was always in a Philly Eagles jersey. Yeah. And he was recently caught out in a like you said, in a pedo trap. Who he thought was talking to a 13-year-old. But obviously it was a trap, and he was caught in 4K.
4K, yeah, that's
he's been done for reputation tarnished. I don't know if there's going to be charges and stuff against him, but there probably will be, because obviously there's clear-cut evidence that he was soliciting and like helping within minor,
which he thought to be minor. So
and he knew about the age as well. He knew I think he asked me. He was like, "Okay, cool. Like you're 13 and you're still engaging in conversation in that way."
It was awkward seeing what he said. It was like they were asking all this shit, and he was like, "Yep, correct." To basically all they were saying. And then I think towards the end he was like, "But she didn't. We don't know how old she is, so it was fine." But yeah, like you said, he got caught in 4K screenshots and everything.
The memes are funny about it though.
Yeah, there's a lot of memes about it because I think he said things like the idea of paedophilia and so on is gross to me, and then they put that tune in the background. And it's like, in fact, it doesn't disgust him. And so on.
Yeah, it's like how because there was a video he made a while ago saying, "Oh, like paedophiles give me the heebie-jeebies," and then he's an actual paedophile, so he enjoys the heebie-jeebies. Yeah,
there's a lot of memes going about that.
And then in relation to that sort of chat, James Charles is getting screwed over left, right, and centre for
James Charles.
He's been doing it so much as well. He's
been involved in so many scandals he's quite young, isn't he? What, 18 now, probably 20?
About 20, I think. 20. He's around our age, 21, 20.
He's been involved in scandals since just like fucking starting out.
So I think a makeup company he was with, they just pulled out from him, dropped him. A load of other companies dropped him. YouTube temporarily have demonetized his YouTube channel, so he won't be able to make any income from there.
He's 20. He's 21, by the way. But yeah, do you know? I don't know much about this. All I know is
he was talking to multiple underage boys.
Yeah,
who he knew they were underage, and he was sexting them. He was sexting them.
Yeah.
So
definitely using his fame for power moves.
Yeah, he apparently was trying to like solicit photos from them for money and everything. So he was so he was like serious predatory stuff, serious pedo shit.
Damn. Yeah, I'm just having a look. Demonetized. He's done his typical fucking white screen, no makeup video, apologising and whatever. Yeah, man, it's just like you have to question if any of these famous people have done some shit in their past now, you know. But yeah, he's been demonetized. He's been dropped by Morph. I think that's his thing he was doing. And so on. But the funny thing is, he said in the past, right, that he's been a victim of like hypersexualization as a young person. And so you have to think, what's going on? You preaching what you know.
Yeah.
And so on. But yeah, we'll find out a bit more about that. I cannot be asked to watch his video, whatever video he has.
I don't want to. I have no interest in it.
Nah, so just a little. On that, another note of YouTube influence, David Dobrik, he's getting bummed recently as well.
Yeah, I mean, a load of stuff's coming out with him, but like, David Dobrik was that guy that like everyone used to love. Like, he was very notorious for like giving his friends like cars and like family members cars and like having famous people around all the time and
bit like Mr. Beast sort of.
Yeah.
With his lavish.
But then. So what started happening was he had one sexual assault allegation against him, but one of these was on video. Two of them I think were on video, pretty much.
Shit.
So it's sort of pretty much evidenced. And they still had the right mind of actually like posting the video and everything like that, thinking it was funny.
It's probably that weird YouTube phase, right, where people used to do things like white people and people who weren't black, like calling people the N-word and stuff like that. Do you remember that phase?
And going into the hood and saying the N-word, stuff like that.
Yeah, things like that. And I'm just like, looking back, I'm like, the fuck was going on with these people to be doing this shit? But yeah, sorry, you were saying about David?
There was another one, and then apparently like one of his friends raped someone in that group.
Damn.
Then there was apparently another thing against him where I think this was also on video, where he apparently nearly killed like someone like in and he found it funny. So he's been bum left, right, and centre.
Cancelled. Yeah, hopefully they find out. Well, clearly, if he's on video, he's a dumbass. First of all, for like posting
that's the problem with this like era, isn't it? Like, evidence is everywhere.
Yeah, but it's this thing. It's like, just don't do it. It's easy.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
And if you have done it, at least admit you've done it and try and apologise or make amends. Because, like you said, it's going to emerge at some point, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You might as well apologise for things you've done already and just keep going.
It's about learn. Obviously it's a deeper topic, but it's just when people aren't remorseful and actually don't learn from their lessons is when the problem is a massive problem.
Exactly.
And it just carries on and on.
Yeah, just apologise for it, and then, well, obviously it's more to apologising, but admit you've done it, because that's the most important part. Sorry. And then anyway, that's the YouTubes that I'm aware of. There's probably more. I'd like to end on a happy note, but I don't know what to do. What do you think?
Well, I mean, what is there to end on a happy note, would you say?
It is true. It's a bit of a shit week in terms of stuff. But moving forward with next episodes anyway, we've temporarily put a hold on the beard game because it wasn't working how we wanted it to.
Yeah.
It wasn't very successful. So let us know what we should do, get rid of it or so on. We're going to start getting people on now, so hopefully it gets a bit more interesting and so on. So we'll get people on who have strong feelings about a certain topic, and we'll have a little discussion about that. Get our opinions, get some other voices on here so you don't get bored of us. We're starting like that Q&A session, so just let us know if you want us to talk about a problem you've had or just a problem in general or so on, and we'll have a little quick chat about that. Anything you want to add, Mahad?
Just do what Saf said. Nothing else to really add from my side, but I think it'll be a really good. Obviously we're still learning, we're still progressing. So as we slowly start perfecting things and start improving on things, then obviously it'll be a lot more engaging, a lot more fun. But that's it.
We're getting to, one last thing. A few people. So we had the YouTube up and ready to go with the first 2 episodes. A few people told us to do videos of ourselves to make it a bit more
interactive,
engaging. Engaging and interactive. We are going to try and do that soon. But like I said, we're very new to this, and the whole editing and stuff is quite tedious and hard for us. Considering
it's nearly exam season as well.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
We have our own, obviously, personal lives that we have to go through. So finding the time for that is just, it's
going to be a bit difficult. But yeah, like Matt had said, because we're new to this, once we get better and more clean at doing these things, we'll definitely start putting videos in and so on, just to make it more interesting for the YouTube people and so on. Worst comes first, we'll literally just put an unedited version of me and Mahad on like a Skype chat and on there. But yeah, that's our plan going forward. Hopefully next week, we will be back next week with some more stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for listening. Stay safe, people. And cheers for the waffle. We'll listen to the waffle.
Cheers guys. Thanks so much.